Hip bursitis is a compressive disorder where the IT band is excessively tight, pressing down on the hip bursa that lies underneath it between the IT band and the pelvis. Over time, that compression on the bursa causes friction, and that friction causes inflammation and pain in the outer hip. Now, if you haven't checked out my first video on hip bursitis yet, I'll definitely leave that link because you'll want to go watch that video. I go much more in depth onto the anatomy, the causes, the precautions, the basic exercises that you want to start with. This hip bursitis video is the advanced exercises, so think of this video as a sequel to the first hip bursitis video. Just to cover all the bases, make sure that you continue to foam roll every day, to use your massage stick roller every day, and to stretch your hip muscles every day, because we need to make sure that we're continuing to reduce the tightness of the structures in the outer hip to help reduce the compression on the hip bursa. Our first hip bursitis advanced exercise is a figure 4 bridge. So in order to get into this position, we're going to take one leg and cross it over the other. So my working leg, my strengthening leg is going to be my left side here. So I took my right ankle, crossed it over my left leg, arms down to my sides, and then I'm going to isolate that left buttock squeeze as I raise the hips up towards the ceiling, little pause, and then back down. So again, I'm focusing on that glute squeeze. So I'm doing the figure 4 bridge for 3 sets of 10. Our next advanced hip bursitis exercise is a prone hip extension. So for this exercise, grab a pillow, place it underneath your hips. That's going to give you a little bend at your hips, and it will give you a little more range to be able to lift with for this one. You'll lie on your belly. So have your toes pointed down away from you, away from your body. And then we're going to do just one side at a time for this hip extension exercise. So I'm going to do my right side here. I'm going to isolate and squeeze my right buttock muscle, keeping my knee straight and lifting to where my hip just barely kind of comes up off the table. So I'm isolating that right buttock squeeze, a little pause at the top and then back down. Toes are staying pointed, knee is staying straight, and I'm really focusing on that glute squeeze. Some people will be hamstring dominant and they'll feel most of their hamstring doing the work, and typically you'll see them bend their knee. But we really want to keep that knee straight, so focus on keeping that leg perfectly straight and lifting with the glute. So the prone hip extension will be for 3 sets of 10.
Real quick, I wanted to say thank you to this video sponsor, One Step Digital Physical Therapy. One Step is a smartphone app for remote physical therapy that's extremely simple to use and super affordable. This program is designed to break down the traditional physical therapy sessions into small, daily actions that you can do anytime, anywhere. The app is packed full of great features that can help patients who are recovering from injuries, surgeries, neurologic conditions, or even those who are trying to prevent falls. After meeting with your personal physical therapist within the app, you'll be provided with a custom home exercise program curated from a library of over 1,000 exercises, which feature high-resolution videos and tracks your progress automatically. One Step also uses your phone's motion sensors to analyze your movements to identify gait asymmetries. I love this service because you can start your treatment immediately and you have 24/7 access to a licensed physical therapist. Best of all, One Step is now offering my viewers a 2-week free trial if you download the app using my custom link, get.onestep.co/PT Time with Tim.
Our third exercise is a modified side plank with hip abduction. So basically for this exercise, you'll lie on your side. You're going to have your bottom leg bent, your top leg straight, hand on your hip. You'll come up into a modified side plank, so a nice straight line here. And then you're going to lift that leg, the top leg, towards the ceiling, keeping that leg in line with your body, toes pointed straight ahead. You're squeezing the outer glute here. You will feel the other hip working as well. That's why this is an advanced exercise. This is a wonderful hip abductor exercise. We'll do the modified side-lying hip abduction exercise for 3 sets of 10. For our fourth exercise, we will do a quadruped hip extension exercise, also known as a donkey kick. So for this exercise, you'll be on all fours, you'll have your knees separated shoulder width apart, your hands separated shoulder width apart. Have your core tight, so pull your belly button up in so the core is tight. Your back is flat, okay? So that sets the kind of the baseline here. Then you will lift one leg, kicking your heel up towards the ceiling, squeezing and isolating the glute squeeze on that side. So I'm really focusing on squeezing my right buttock, and notice I'm trying to kick my heel towards the ceiling. I'm going to stop, though, at a certain point where I feel a maximal kind of hip extension. If I had to go beyond that, I'm gonna have to extend my lumbar spine, and we're not trying to do that. We don't want to feel that lumbar spine doing all the work. We're just trying to isolate the glute here. So again, squeeze that right buttock, come up as far as you can. Also make sure that we're not rotating the pelvis here. So we're keeping the pelvis square to the surface of the table or the floor, whichever we're doing it on. So keeping the pelvis square, getting a good little pause at the top and then back down, trying not to shift the weight. I'm not shifting over. So we're doing the quadruped hip extension exercise for 3 sets of 10. Our next exercise is a side-lying clamshell. So for this exercise, you'll just need a Theraband loop or a resistance band loop, and I'll drop a link for this in the description below. Basically, you put that just above the knees, lie on your side with both knees bent, so kind of that fetal position. Hand on your hip, and now I'm going to keep my feet together, so that's kind of the hinge point. The feet are staying together. Lifting the top knee up towards the ceiling, squeezing the glutes. You got it, yes, squeezing the glutes. We're trying to isolate those hip muscles. So I'm lifting that knee up towards the ceiling and back down. So I'll be doing the side-lying clamshell with resistance band for 3 sets of 10. Our 6th advanced hip bursitis exercise is standing steamboats. So for this exercise, you'll need a long piece of resistance band. So I've tied a piece of resistance band to something that's stationary behind you, and then make another loop at the other end tied to your ankle. Come out till you got about moderate resistance. You're going to stand on both legs here, hands on your hips, core tight. You'll lift the strengthening side, the resistance side, you'll lift it to where the foot clears up off the floor. Keep the knee straight, and then bring the leg forward. So I've got resistance pulling from behind here. I'm going into hip flexion, so I'm bringing the leg forward, keeping my core tight. So you're going to feel the muscles working on the front side. So I'm going to do this hip flexion direction for 3 sets of 10. Keeping that knee straight. Then I'm going to turn, because we're going to do 3 directions. I'm going to turn to my side so the band is in front of me. Notice I stepped over and behind with my opposite leg. So now I'm going to go in the hip abduction direction. That's away from the body. So keeping the knee straight, kicking the leg out to the side, core tight, chest upright, not leaning. So I'll do 3 sets of 10 into the hip abduction direction. Then finally, I'm going to turn and face the anchor point, and I'll do hip extension. So resisted hip extension for 3 sets of 10. Again, isolating that glute squeeze. And that's the standing 3-way steamboats. Thanks for stopping by PT Time with Tim. You'll definitely want to check out my original hip bursitis video next as you continue on your pathway to living a healthy and active lifestyle.